Welcome to Turned In Aus. I am Reese. I'm an autistic ADHD woodturner from regional New South Wales. I'm a hobbyist, and the premise of my channel is showing you what I've been working on and the process I use to achieve or fail. And this week I am keeping it true to the fail part and showing all the mistakes I made along the way. This week's project was my first plate. Being a first, there was bound to be mistakes. Join me in seeing how this goes from near disaster to an interesting testing piece. Starting by making a 9-inch fir blank. This is either Douglas or Oregon. I'm not sure of the origin of the wood. It's the same wood, different growing location. Being a softer wood, I knew that it was going to be tear out using scrapers, but also that it would be a relatively easy practice piece. So, being my first plate, I didn't want to go over the top and blow something out. So this video, you're going to see me using a couple of new tools for the first time. So in a short I released, I made some spacers using the Spindle Gouge, and this is that Spindle Gouge. It is a Crown Cryo M2. I also picked up a couple of Cryo tools, which were a bowl scraper and a square end scraper. I also picked up a Vicmarc VM100, I think. It's either a 100 or 90, I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's definitely Vicmarc, so Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. The mother first you're going to see here is me using a spindle gouge on cross-grain turning. Now this is something Richard Raffin has made a specialty over the years. It's not something that I'm comfortable with, but I did give it a crack and it certainly works. You might be wondering why I've only got one camera angle running on this clip. And that's because my phone overheated. So it didn't quite overheat as bad as the other week where it blew up, but it definitely overheated while recording this one. And I didn't realize until a bit later. So it was about 35 in the garage when I was doing this, and had plenty of airflow through there, but it was just a hot summer day in Australia. So yeah, as I said, so I wasn't quite comfortable with how the spindle gouge was working, so I switched over to the bowl gouge because I've got a bit more rigidity with how thick that one is, and it just felt a bit more comfortable for me. So I'll give the spindle gouge another crack at a later stage, but it just wasn't for me at this point. Now, moving into my first cut with a scraper. Now, my hand is quite high, so according to Thomas Lev, it's about a 19-degree angle that you should be trying to keep. I didn't quite hit it with this one. I think my tool rest was a touch off. But there was still some nice shavings coming off, not quite dust. And then I readjusted, and as you can see, I am now starting to get some cuts. You may notice some white shavings coming off the center in there, and a black little thing swirling around. That is some resin that was put in there by the joinery. So this is an offcut from the joinery called Thor's Hammer in Canberra, and it's a beautiful piece of wood. Unfortunately, it just wasn't right for what I needed it for on this case. So, but I'm having a practice, I'm having a play, and right now I am dipping that tool just below center and raising it up to flatten it off, and that is coming out quite nicely. Now I've gone off for a quick sharpen because I know how resin affects other tools, so I'm assuming it's doing the same thing and blunting extremely quickly on this one. So I've gone for a quick sharpen, and as you can tell, it's not quite right, and I get a catch. And that's alright. So right now I am just trying to find the right angle, and now I am going to try and put a recess on this. So I've just dipped it in and pushed it in. Now, as you can see, there is a little bit of a radius on the top of that tool. The reason for that is to try and avoid any catches of having two corners hit at the same time. I do some quick aggressive cuts to start forming the shape with the bowl gouge, and then I'm going to switch over to my bowl scraper and put some nice profile on this. Just using the wing of that long edged bowl gouge, and so far I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. Now I've moved over to the curved bowl gouge there and having a play. This is the first time using it, and I must say it was quite a nice feeling using that. Now, something I did not take into account with the radius on this tool is the corner is not perfectly square, because there is a radius, so if I go square I end up with a cove on the foot of the plate. So just having a quick play here. I'm probably taking a little bit of a too much aggressive pass here, but again, I'm just playing and seeing how it goes. This is a soft wood. It is a piece I already know has failed, and so I am just playing with some tools and seeing what I want to do with it. Just doing a push cut from the top there, and I've just decided that I'm going to bring the plate down to about that height. Switching back over to the spindle gouge, and I am putting a little bead on this where I've decided I'm going to form the edge and rim of this plate, and I'm liking that. I'm liking it a lot. So yeah, as I said, I was more comfortable using the bowl gouge. I still want to play with the spindle gouge and try and understand exactly how the angles are working. And the only way to do that is give it a crack. Now, part of my new tools is a kinetic sander. This is just a piece of plastic with a bearing in it and a metal shaft that just spins around. And it's just got a nice soft padded top on it, and it just, as the bowl or plate spins, you use one edge and it gets it spinning nice and fast and reduces the amount of any sanding lines that you get in it because you're not holding it still for too long. And I must say, just at 180 that was quite enjoyable. Now we're zooming in here to see another failure, and that's fine because failures are learning opportunities. Unlike my earlier voiceover, I now remember this is a VM100 and it is the 75mm shark jaws.
What? I measured that out perfectly, you bastard.
Yep, that's me. Getting frustrated with myself from making silly, simple mistakes. Every single time. So anyway, I didn't quite get it right, so I just flip it around, and as you can see, that crack is quite well formed on the bottom edge there. Now I'm just going in to expand this out, so I'll put a little underbite on the foot there, and then I'm going to just come in and take it out about another 3mm, because I decided going a little bit too far is better than not going far enough. So I've done that, and now I'm going to bring the scraper in because I also noticed that it was a bit of a rounded bottom of that. So I'm coming in and giving it a nice sharp cut. And this time it turned around and locked in nicely. So nicely, in fact, that crack expanded. And so I'm just using a quick push cut across the face and bringing it down. As I said, I already defined that rim, and because I know this is already a failed piece, I did not care about that little wobble. I just wanted to get in, play with the tools, and practice on something I've not done before. So right now, I'm just using that bowl gouge and creating a nice cove in there. I decided if I had a cove, it'll be easier to come in with the square scraper and definitely not catch any wing. So I've gone into the center and I'm just doing some quick push cuts straight in. This is a real-time clip, and just making some beautiful shavings, and that's what I like to see. So if you've used a scraper, is that the kind of shavings you expect to see, or would you be expecting longer? I don't know, this is my first time using it, so let me know in the comments. So my main point here was trying to get it a bit flat, and I've noticed now that I haven't gone deep enough, and I need to find a way to get down there without going through the bottom. And I start getting a little concerned that if I start going in too hard, I may end up catching both wings. So I switch over to the bowl scraper and just start working it out. I decided I just want to get down to the bottom of that hole, and I will work from that depth. And so I'm just putting a nice little cove in there, and then I'll come back with the square scraper and be happy with it. Whee! Running my finger around the hole. Why not? You may notice I'm standing there looking frustrated.
How much footage have we lost?
I've just realized that my phone's overheated and it is no longer recording. It was recording, it just didn't finish the file, so unrecoverable. That's unfortunate, but moving on, we now have 2 cameras running again, and let's try and get some of those better action shots, because unfortunately, I missed them earlier on. So I'm just enjoying this because it was actually quite fun to make those beautiful long shavings. Now, as you can see, I'm using the spindle gouge there, and I'm just taking in the plate edge and making that rim defined. I'm very much enjoying how this is working. Again, this is cross grain, it's not end grain, and the way this is cutting, it's just almost like it's a spindle. It's amazing. So for all those people that have said don't use a spindle gouge for bowl work, you're not right. Richard Raffin has proven that time and time again. As much as I still prefer using a bowl gouge, it definitely works, and I'm happy to say that I've done it now. So what I'm focusing on at the moment is getting that main center flat and nice. So just giving it a quick run across, and I'm happy with that. I will give it a few more touch-ups as we go, because I do make a few nicks in this join between the rim and the base. So just give it another quick pass here and there. So I'm so happy I've moved on to sanding using that kinetic sander. Now this is actually a skill that I did not realize was going to be as hard as it is. Trying to make sure you stay with the rotation, otherwise you kill the complete rotation, it will stop moving. That was a little bit of fun, and yeah. The centrifugal force actually is quite noticeable when you're using this. So out on the far edges, you'll hear the tool start winding up, and as you get closer to the center, you can actually see it slowing down. So that's a really good way of demonstrating just how the forces work, because it really does slow it down. Okay, so now we're moving on to my next new tool. I've been wanting a laser engraver for a while, and I bit the bullet and it got an xTool S1 10 watt. Now, what I'm doing here is I am setting a height roughly on where I wanted it, and now I'm going to define where the rim is. So what I'm doing here is moving the crosshair to be on the bottom edge of the rim, and the xTool software has the ability of marking a circle just by going to 3 random points on the circle. And you'll see in the software here, it's now generated a circle. So what I'll do here is I will go in and I will create a circle shape, and I will mirror it as close as I can, and from there I will go and put that into marking mode again and do the exterior. So with that exterior done, I will then go and set the original circle to be not outputted, so it won't try and engrave it. So I'll put it not an output, and I will then lock it so that I can't move it or edit it or do anything with it by accident. Then I'm just going to throw some random images around, because this is purely for testing. Being Aussie, got to throw the kangaroo in there. So these are all included inside the xTool software. It is free software. It is quite nice. And some more learning things that I had here is this try feature is when I realized, oh, I can curve it by using that little button. So if I had have gone and put any real thought into this, I would have done the text string as a single piece and just wrapped it around so that it all matched. I didn't. Oh well, it happens. So each one of the words is its own little thing, and I'm just sitting there playing. So once I've got this defined, I will tell it what kind of wood that I want to use. And so I went 10mm, which pretty much gives me most of the settings for engraving. I've already done some test pieces and can confirm that the 10mm pine works quite well. So I've gone with those settings. You can change them, but I found that it works quite well for this application. So I'm starting the engraving now, and as you can see, that's buzzing through it quite nicely. This cut, I believe, took about 20 minutes in total. And yeah, so it's literally just going through, printing some shapes, printing the words, that's doing an engraving. And once that's done, we will be right to move into the other section. So this is a healthy time to say a thank you to anyone who's still watching. If you're enjoying this, please leave a comment. If you've got any questions, please reach out. I try to be as open as I can be and share as much information as I can, because part of the community is making sure everyone can learn, because if you can't learn, or if you're not trying to learn, then you're not going to grow. And if you're able to share something or try something, then I really think you should. And if you can't, then you're missing opportunities to learn. And I really think the opportunities to learn can be found almost anywhere. And so while I really enjoy this and I've had the opportunity to learn with this, I would like to thank everyone for doing what they do. I know this isn't the most interesting thing, watching it squiggle left and right, but it is quite interesting to me because there is quite a bit to learn here. And just sharing that, I feel like it's adding value to the community. So as you can see, we are almost finished and just moving into some of these final cuts. Biggest lesson I can try and provide to everyone this week is give it a crack, see what happens. If you fail, there's something to learn from it. Analyze whatever went wrong and come back stronger and better the next time. So moving on from this, I will then go and make some adjustments to the design and have a little bit of a play. So that one took, I think, 16 minutes in total, and that was the biggest of them. 15 minutes and 17 seconds according to the screen. Now, I selected everything, I turned it off from output, but I left them there, and then realized, hang on, I don't want to use a line, I want to use a rectangle. So I grab a rectangle, I reshape it, because I wanted to put something in between each of the things here, and so do that, do a quick copy, put one on the other side, and realize I hate the shape of it. So shrink them down a little bit, and off we go. I'll send that through quickly and do a really quick cut. As you can see, pressing the button, off we go, and this one is actually in real time. This is as fast as it's moving. I thought it was super quick and simple, so I left that one in there to allow you to see just how long these actually take to engrave. This is engraving at 125mm a second and at 60% power. So that took 29 seconds in total to engrave, and then I'm like, well, since I'm here, may as well put Turned In Aus in the middle. So you'll notice here I actually do something a little different compared to what I did everything else earlier. So I've got that, I'll select it, do a copy and paste of it, I will turn one into an engrave and one into a score. So a score is a line, whereas it's not enough power to cut through, but it is enough that it blacks it out. So it's just putting a nice defined edge around it. There is a process to how this machine works, and it will do a engraving first, and then it will do any score layers, and then it will do any cut layers. So yeah, so I'll do a quick copy of that. I will turn... It felt like it was too bold there, so I felt like they were out of alignment, so I moved them over. Then I turned one into an engrave, and then I changed its color. And then I aligned them so that I could actually see the layers and make sure there was no gaps. And now I am trying to put them both in the center. So in the center of the exterior black circle. And off we go. Send that through, and I will speed this one up. So I'll do the first couple of seconds in real time, because this one is a bit slower. This engraving took a bit of time. And yeah, work our way through this. And again, I just want to reach out and say thank you to all of the community that are out there. If you're interested in this kind of content, please let me know. If there's something specific you want me to try, then let me know on that as well. When I bought the engraver, I also bought the rotary kit, and that rotary kit, I have an original plan of doing full 360-degree designs around pens, so be watching for videos of that in the future. I'm expecting there's going to be some failures on that because it is working with extremely thin wood once it's turned down on the brass barrels. So we're now finishing up, and we are going to move into having a look at the detailed shots of this finished engraving. You'll see some scorch marks there, and that's not great, but it's okay. And I am just now going to pick it up and give a close-up of those conclusions. If you've enjoyed this, then please let me know. If you want something else, then please let me know on that as well. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. As again, I'm Reese from Turned In Aus. Have a great week.